Coming to you from a freight train filled with the world's fattest circus animals, it's the Troma Now podcast.
Now, you've written many screenplays over the years, including iconic films that everybody knows and loves. But what is your writing process like?
Usually I get a bug up my ass about some kind of current event. Squeeze Play was about the women's liberation movement, and Poultrygeist. They built a McDonald's next door to the Troma building in Manhattan, and the McDonald's people were horrible. They damaged our building. We had rats living in our basement, the size of raccoons. A lot of bad stuff. So then Gabe Friedman, who was our editor, he gave me Fast Food Nation to read, and lo and behold, the fast food industry is a disgrace. So then, slowly but surely, I started educating myself, and as I mentioned before, I love musicals, and I'd always wanted to make a musical, David. So this was it. We wrote a musical, and I educated myself about the evils of the fast food industry, and indeed, much worse than I could imagine. And I wanted to make a musical, and this isn't really a musical. Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead has about 7 songs in it, but that are sung and danced on camera. But it's not your traditional musical. Cannibal the Musical by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, their first movie, is a Troma movie, and that is a classical. That's like Toxic Avenger meets Oklahoma, but Poultrygeist is something unto itself. It's my foul movement, shall I say?
Are you kind of a health nut because you've discussed the how bad fast food is? So you just know it's toxic. It's nothing. It just has everything to do with the fact that they're producing toxic product.
They're making crap. They're contributing to 40% obesity, morbidly obese American public and around the world. The animals are being slaughtered and tortured. The architecture of the McDonald's is disgusting. The pollution they create is disgusting. I mean, there's nothing good about McDonald's. Yeah. Now, recently, they seem to be making noises about trying to teach children that they shouldn't be eating so much shit. But I don't think they've been too successful based on the anecdotal vision of fat people everywhere. And you and I are going to be paying for the diabetes and all that stuff. So it's like cigarettes, where the politically correct don't think it's right for the sodas to be taxed, because it's okay for cigarettes to be taxed, because Uncle Lloyd likes smoking, but it's not okay to tax the Coca-Cola that is being force-fed down the gullets of 5-year-olds so they become big fat slobs, so they can take drugs from the pharmaceuticals to help their diabetes that get advertised on these shitty MSNBC TV shows. All these limousine liberals have no problem with brainwashing the American public on the wonderful world of prescription drugs. The only reason I'm not a fan of meat is that I'm an animal rights person. It doesn't have anything to do with health. But if the American taxpayer wants to get a real tax benefit, stop eating all this shit and get the fat people to stop eating it and stop prevent diabetes. These pills that people get hooked on. Sure, Pfizer's doing great, and Abbey is doing. The stocks are doing wonderful. Well, pay nice dividends, but it's not going to solve the health of the American population. And believe me, my generation is coming up now in where they need long-term care, and you young people are going to have to pay for it, right?
But do you remember when they tried to implement a tax on soda in New York, and there was an outcry? So even when they attempted to do it,
well, the limousine liberals, they're limousine liberals.
Well, I think it was just
hypocrites who are Hillary Clinton. She's the perfect one. She's against that kind of thing, right? Oh, yeah, the fat people, they should have... in fact, you're not even allowed to say plus size. You're normalizing it. It's normalized. Watch these fat women on The View. They couldn't care less about us citizens. The Senate doesn't care about us citizens. If anyone had any guts out there, they'd stop a professional football. they'd stop sending their kids to get their heads smashed. You know, everyone's so surprised. Ooh, football is contributing to death by brain injury. What a surprise! Smashing two people's for 300-pound people to smash their heads together time after time. Ooh, they're going to get injured. What a surprise! They might get injured. Right? It's just a tobacco, right? It's like, oh my heavens, you mean cigarette smoking gives you cancer? I had no idea. You know, oh my gosh, opiates are bad? Look at the times now. These hideous brothers, these
Koch brothers?
Sackler. No, the Koch brothers are like angels. The Sacklers who have gotten everybody hooked on opioids, which if you've read Dreamland, read Dreamland, Troma fans. It's a wonderful journalistic book about the how the opioids have led directly to major addiction of the finest black heroin, and it's just awful. And Hillary and they're all guilty. And the one guy who might have been enlightened, thanks to Senator Gillibrand, or whatever her name is, Al Franken, was kicked out of the Senate for doing nothing. Right?
You know, over the years, you've
unbelievable, and yet Troma's still here. That's the miracle.
Over the years, you've definitely gone after Hillary a lot and Bill Clinton a lot. But where we stand now politically, do you feel that was? I mean, I'm assuming that it's the same whether it's a Trump in office or a Hillary in office in terms of what you're fighting for.
It couldn't be any worse. It couldn't be any worse. So I would have let Bernie. Bernie. They stole the election from Bernie. There's no question, and nobody talks about it. The Democratic Party is corrupt. That Schultz, that woman with all the pubic hair on her head, that curly, fucking, disgusting product or whatever, she's a horrible woman. And Bernie should have won. He would have won. He would have beaten Trump. He would have won. He would have beaten Trump. And so if people want to blame Trump on somebody, you blame it on crooked Hillary and crooked Debbie Schultz and crooked Democratic Party, crooked super delegates. And Bernie would have won. We would be having health care. We'd be having a better education. We'd be having better diets. We'd be having everything would be better, and we wouldn't be at war with half the world. Anyway,
so
it can't get any worse. I'd say try Bernie next time.
Now you've been arrested, according to your own word, in Cannes.
Well, I can't say we were booked. We didn't go into the jail. But we was constantly manhandled by these thugs who seem to be controlling the Cannes police. The Cannes police know who Troma is. They love Troma. But there were thugs with sunglasses and big suits, and they pushed. I can't say anybody got punched in the face, but they were shoved up against the wall with their hands behind their back. And
you were doing a documentary, right? You were doing
a documentary. Not doing a documentary. We were doing publicity for Troma's Return to Nuke Em High, a.k.a. Volume 2. And as such, we do street theater. We have Toxie and Kabuki Man and the beautiful Tromettes, and we dance around in the street and do parades. And the Cannes citizens join us, and a lot of young people who are fans all over the world come to join us at Cannes. Some of them stay in our apartments, and some of them just join up when we're doing these perfectly colorful, harmless events. But for some reason this year, each year actually, the Cannes Festival got tougher and tougher, and we basically have been policed out of the Cannes Film Festival.
On the grounds of what?
On the grounds of being festive. The festival doesn't want us to be festive. They just want to have the big corporations who can spend $500,000 on a heavily advertised party that no one's allowed to be invited to, or the coterie of the club, the little Sundance, Cannes, little so-called independent community with people like Tom Hanks' son, who are so independent, and movie stars who make movies, and those are the independent people these days. Divisions, vassals of major conglomerates like Fox Searchlight and Sony, and then the governments of Germany and France, and they're very powerful. They get together with the Cannes Festival. So it's become a fascist festival, from festival to fascism. So we're making a little short documentary about it, that from festival to fascism. And Troma team is not going back. Mm-hmm. We will not go back. I've been there since 1971. The citizens of Cannes love Troma. And the police love Troma, but the Cannes Film Festival does not want to have anything that might be slightly independent or or truly independent. Let's put it that way.
Well, in this day and age, you're somebody over the years who's gotten some interesting press. You've been on television. You've had bad press, good press.
I've had no bad press. I've had no press. We've been ignored by the media.
Well, I remember seeing you on TV.
Troma name has not appeared in either the New York Times, Variety, other than reviews. We get good reviews, but that's it. Our 40th anniversary went by unmentioned by any New York publication, even though we've had real estate here, we pay taxes, we have a payroll of and the people here, as you know, where would they be if they weren't getting a paycheck here? They'd be They'd be down in. They'd be fighting over in who knows where they. Look at that guy. He works for us. Can you imagine? What if he didn't work? Where would he be? Right.
And you have,
right? They'd be like they'd have him in one of those. One of those programs, Obama program. Taxpayers would be paying for these.
You have a working studio here with a lot of people on the grounds, and I feel like a lot of indie companies today.
There are no indie companies. Where are the indie companies?
Well, the ones that I've been to
the
are
ones
like
that live for about five seconds. Yeah, they're making great movies, but they can't survive. You can't make a living as an independent artist. It's impossible unless you hook up with a vassal of one of these devil-worshipping conglomerates.
But I remember I picked up an old magazine that I had.
Yeah, old. Remember the old word? Old.
Premier magazine.
Yeah, it's like
full page article
for 30 years.
30? It's been 30 years.
Premier, they're gone, long gone. Okay. There's nothing about us.
But is there
other than the underground? We're big in the underground. Yes, we have a huge following underground. Yes.
Is there such a thing as bad press?
Yes, there can be bad press, of course.
Because they say all press is good press.
No, I disagree. But what we are economically boycotted, and we are ignored by the mainstream media. So there's no chance for an independent company. Maybe if you go and do something, maybe jump into the middle of the subway tracks, or you might get a small item in the New York Post. But there's no chance. No chance. If you young people out there are listening to this, you should, if you want to make a living, you better go and join up with some vassal, some division of Rupert Murdoch, or go to France and join the government there. But there it's a club also, and I'm told by major French film directors that even they still have to constantly politic, and it's an elite type of intellectual bullshit club that gets the French tickets, French funding from the government. Canada, I'm told, is the same, but I think Canada is doing a much better job of giving money to truly independent filmmakers, who are Canadian, of course. Yeah. The American government gives money to truly giant multinational conglomerates in the form of tax benefits, and in the form of getting rid of net neutrality, and in the form of getting rid of every rule that prevents monopoly, so that there is absolutely no chance to have anything but a world of vertically integrated multinational conglomerates.
Best Picture nominee and possibly Best Picture winner, Shape of Water. I saw it in the theater, and at the end of it was a whole lot of credits, whole lot credited to the Canadian government. So I feel like they're obviously boosting film production there, and here we don't seem to have that same kind of system. It is what it is. Now
well, wait a minute. The Shape of Water is by Guillermo del Toro. He's a world-class director, and there are some world-class directors out there, and God bless them, they're great, and they can do whatever they want. One way or the other, they're going to make their movies. But there aren't many of them. And I'd say for every Guillermo del Toro, there's probably 10,000 poor bastards like me who get nowhere.
There's only one Lloyd Kaufman.
Well, you're a nice guy, David. I'm overstating the situation, but I'm pretty bitter, and I'll tell you something else I'm bitter about. Everybody said, "Oh, I just came." I was a guest of the tattoo convention in Philadelphia last weekend. They had 100,000 people there. It's the biggest tattoo convention in the world, and I'm proud that the organizers invite me as a guest and give us booths and nice. They're very nice to us. But so many of the fans there. Oh, I saw you in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's wonderful. You had 2 seconds in Guardians. I get more positive reinforcement for my 2 seconds in Guardians of the Galaxy. This is my fucking 50th year of making movies, right? And apparently that's going to be my legacy. 2 seconds. And I'm very grateful. I love James Gunn. He's the best guy in the world, and I'm very proud. And being a narcissist, I expect to be in every one of his movies. But I'm pretty bitter about the fact that nobody says, "Gee, I love Return to Nuke Em High. It's such a great movie, and you're the best in it." No, what they say is, Return to Nuke Em High Volume 1 is pretty damn good, but Terra Firma was so much better. And when Terra Firma came out, Terra Firma's okay, but Tromeo and Juliet was great. And then when Tromeo and Juliet came out, Tromeo and Juliet, it's okay, but really the class of Nuke 'Em High, that's the they don't let me live. They won't let me live. I think Paul Muni said that.
It's repeat.
I
was a member of the Chain Gang. Yeah. It's repeat viewing. When people get to visit something a number of times over, suddenly that's when the appreciation really grows in a harvest.
Well, the critics are idiots. That's the problem. The critics don't get it. They if you go through history, the critics panned Vertigo. The critics panned The Bird. The critics panned Marty. Marty's Hitchcock's best film. Critics didn't get it. They panned it because it had backdrops, painted backdrops for Baltimore. Unfortunately, the Troma fans are very smart, but the Troma fans are a cult. They get it. They get it. But unfortunately, the media that might help us in Los Angeles doesn't get it. And of course the major media is under the thumb. It depends on the advertising. The New York Times cannot exist without the Panther. What is it called? The thing with the black cat.
Black Panther.
The Black Panther. Without advertising from the Black Panther, and without the New York Times only covers stuff that's either ultimate politically correct. Usually, it's got to be somewhat perverted. And I mean perverted in a transsexual way, or it's got to have some kind of spin on it that is deviant or aberrant. Aberrant. I shouldn't say perverted, because they're probably, except for Hillary Clinton, there's probably nothing perverted. But it's got to have some kind of aberrant spin, a politically correct aberrant spin, or it's got to be something that Fox or one of the major media puts out. But we don't exist. We do not exist in the world of the New York. The critics like us. The critics give us very good reviews, but so good. They get that. But and when they do review us, they put us in the ghetto. Right? I've been doing it for fucking 50 years. James Gunn, Trey Parker, and Matt Stone, Oliver Stone, not the Rolling Stones. Fergie's first movie, Samuel Jackson's first movie. Eli Roth started with us. There's hundreds who started with us. And Vincent D'Onofrio, I mean, I can bore you for an hour with people. Marissa Tomei. The point is, not one peep about us. We don't exist. But, if 20th Century Fox has a zombie movie, wow, that's so exciting. Nothing about George Romero in that article. Nothing about Troma in that article. But, gee, Fox created Fox created the zombie movie. And by the way, they got lots of big ads going on.
Just get a sex change and come out of the closet. You're going to get a lot of publicity, Lloyd. You just have to think outside the box.
Yeah, well, the point is, it's not a good, not good for independent filmmakers.
You were saying in the past that there was a point in television history where they were not allowed to own their own products.
That is correct.
Why was that, and how come that's changed?
There was a rule called the financial syndication rule that was created to prevent the vertical integration of the television industry. So the networks were not allowed to own the content. And they were required to license 35% of their content from independent sources, such as Norman Lear. That's how you got Archie Bunker. That's how you got the thing about the cleaning, the guy who was the dry cleaner, Helmsley, whatever his name is. The spin-off from
Jefferson's.
Jefferson's, yeah. You got very original, you got pretty damn good independent. And I have to say, in today's world, thanks to net neutrality, Netflix got to be created, and the public loved it. And obviously, Amazon through the free, open, and diverse internet. So you have competition in the TV world. And bingo, what's happening? You're getting great television. And even shitty NBC and CBS and ABC, which had a lock on the television industry for 50 years. Now they are actually having to make movies and TV shows that people want to see, and they're doing a better job. Competition works, and if the major media would permit the independent artists to have a little bit of breathing room, the world would even be a better place. But instead, the head of the FCC, who used to work for Verizon and AT&T and Time Warner, and the media establishment, the media mainstream, are getting rid of net neutrality on the internet. Net neutrality, the free, open, and diverse democratic medium on which Troma has just as much clout as Disney. Your website has just as much advantage as Disney or 20th Century Fox. If the public likes what you've got, they'll support you. If they don't like what you've got, they're not going to watch. But that's going to go... Kickstarter wouldn't be here without net neutrality. Nobody would know about them. They had something good. It was a level playing field, and people loved it.
When does net neutrality go away?
Well, Ajit Pai, who's a shit pie, who, by the way, sounds like he's going to get put in jail because he was working for Verizon, and apparently was very much working for Verizon while he was getting the FCC, as he's the chief of the FCC, Federal Communications Commission. He is doing everything he can to he got the FCC to vote to get rid of net neutrality. How long that takes, I don't know. Hopefully Congress, if any of you young people want to preserve net neutrality, go after your elected officials and tell them that you're not going to vote for them if net neutrality goes away, and go after and bombard the FCC, which we are doing with pro net neutrality wishes. And also the Justice Department, get on their ass and get them to change things. They can change things too. But so far, the one thing that's good is that Ajit Pai, the head of the FCC, is now being accused of being a criminal. So that might slow down the getting rid of net neutrality.
I have a question from Troma superfan PJ Griffin. Is the Troma that stands today what you thought it would be when you started? Or has it completely changed and evolved?
The industry has completely... Troma's not changed. I mean, we've evolved into making better movies, and we own about 1,000 movies, and we've got this very chic cachet, the very elegant brand, the Troma brand. But no, it's the industry that's changed. All the rules that used to protect the public against monopoly have been done away with, and all the rules that encouraged monopoly have been created, so that you have these vertically integrated conglomerates that control the industry and control all the paths to the public. So if you're a filmmaker and you actually want to earn a living and pay your rent and eat, you're going to have to join up with one of the vassals of one of these giant conglomerates. And that ain't easy. And they don't let you, most of the time, they don't let you make any money. And if you break through, and your next movie doesn't do well, they throw you away like an old glove. The battlefield is littered with dead careers.
I have a question from a creative partner, co-writer of Son of Piggyzilla, Mr. Timmy Packer. So if you had zero restrictions and could do whatever you want, what would your dream project be?
I would like to do the Tempest, but I'm doing the Tempest. The problem is I have to put my own money in. I don't have any money, so my poor wife and I are putting up all the money. So if there's anybody out there who wants to lose some money, but to become a producer, please contact David Campfield, and Uncle Lloyd will let you be involved, and you can be a producer. I don't want to do it on Kickstarter because our fans are poor, and we've done it once or twice, and I feel bad about it. But if there's some rich person out there who'd like to come up with some dough and be a producer on Troma's next movie based on Shakespeare's The Tempest, please contact us. I have a fan site. You can contact me at lloydkaufman.com or at Lloyd Kaufman, L-L-O-Y-D, not L-L-Y-O-D, Lloyd at Lloyd Kaufman, and or on my Twitter at Lloyd Kaufman, Instagram at Lloyd Kaufman, whatever. Also, I'm big on on hairlessasianboys.com.
Don't go to that website.
It's okay.
You've acted in probably 200 plus films. So
at least, I think 400.
Really? So now, does any role or roles come to mind that you thought, this is a good performance? Like, what are some of your proudest performances?
That's a very good. That's a terrible question. Are there any movies in which I've done some good acting? Oof, it's a very hard question. But there's a movie that's opening here in New York on Friday called Death House.
Death House, yeah, I'm going to the premiere.
I'll be there. I will be there.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, they're sending a car and all that stuff. It's going to be a big deal. So I think, again, I haven't seen it, but from what it was a real good part, I thought. I improvised, and I think I did a good job. Offhand, I can't really think of parts where I'm trying to think of what I've done recently. I just have to go, I don't know.
You made a pretty damn good lawyer, I'll tell you that much. Not lawyer. You made a pretty damn good judge, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, well, the film I did for you, that was great. I can't say my acting was as good as an actor you could get for a lot of money, but I think for an underground actor, yeah. And by the way, I've written 7 books about making movies, and our fans put me in movies, and that helps them sell the movies at conventions. If I'm in a movie, our fan base will buy that movie. So it's the same thing that works on the mainstream. Star power. I'm a star of the underground, which doesn't, you're not going to sell 400,000 DVDs or Blu-rays, but you'll sell more if I'm in the movie than if I'm not in the movie. And I do most of them for free. If there's no budget, I do them for free usually.
Speaking of books, I mean, how has that changed over the years? Are most of your sales digital now, or hard copy still hitting the shelf? I mean, how is, from when you began writing books to now, how has that industry changed?
Well, most of my books are still under publishers' contracts, but we did get the rights back to All I Need to Know About Filmmaking. I learned from the Toxic Avenger, which was the first book that I wrote. And as you know, the first book that I wrote was written by James Gunn, and I don't know what happened to him after that, but I heard he's doing all right.
I heard he does PG porn now.
Oh yeah, that was great, by the way. What a brilliant! I mean, that was hilarious stuff. He's genuinely talented and the best. He's absolutely the best, and that's the thing about the movie industry. 99% of the people in this industry, David, are scum of the earth. They're low-class, uneducated, lazy, crooked people, and they are horrible. And but the tiny little 1/2% are the best people in the world. Eli Roth and James Gunn and John Voight's a good guy.
You talking John Voight, the actor?
Yes, he's a big Troma fan and a great guy, totally idealistic. At least he's trying to figure things out. Obviously has a great career. There are a few people like that who are the best people in the world. I would say Michael Hers is one of the best people in the world.
Now, in closing, can you say for us, this is Lloyd Kaufman, and you're listening to the Troma Now podcast.
Greetings from Tromaville. I'm Lloyd Kaufman, President of Troma Entertainment and creator of the Toxic Avenger. You know, folks, when the Troma team and I are not making those great movies like Return to Nuke Em High, a.k.a. Volume 2, or Tromeo and Juliet, the Troma team likes to kick back and listen to the Troma Now podcast with David Campfield, because that podcast, aside from being entertaining and hilarious, it's truly educational. And it truly opens your mind to the world of real independent art and commerce. Thank you.
Could you give us a plug in French?
Chevrolet Coupe de Ville, Charles Gaulle, et encore film noir.
My very last request, can you give us a closeout in Chinese?
Ni hao ma, wo xing kung fu man, wo shi pai dianing de ren, Dui how to pai dianing, dui how to dianing sure return to Nuke Em High, a.k.a. Volume R, Ching Ni Kan, woman de Troma de pai dianing, Ching Ni Kan, woman de Troma de dianing, Xie Ni.
Thank you
that
so
was
much.
Kind of a real. That was.
The Troma Now podcast is produced by Lloyd Kaufman, Michael Hurwitz, and Levi White. Music by Rick Batari and Jerry Harr. Creative consultants Timmy Packer and PJ Griffin.
If you'd like to follow Troma on Twitter, visit twitter.com/Troma_team, or you can follow me at Twitter at twitter.com/Dave Campfield, all one word.